showing you some footage of one of my runs, and I will comment on it, sort of explaining why I did what I did, talking a little bit about the mechanics and the strategy and stuff like that. I am not intending for this to be a full review of the game. I haven't played enough of the game yet, I think, for me to have a really educated opinion. But I might talk a little bit about some of my thoughts. But I think I'll make a more full review later on. This video is more for you to learn a little bit about the game if you're curious, to get a sense of what it's like, and maybe if you have just started playing it, it might give you an idea of some of the strategies I use to help be successful in the game. Now, I recorded this footage actually a couple days ago. I haven't played a ton of the game yet, but, yeah, so I might not remember everything exactly, but I'll be able to interpret what I'm doing pretty well. And if you're not interested in Nightreign, that's okay too. You can just use this video as a regular old ASMR video to help you relax and fall asleep or whatever. But before we jump into the gameplay proper, I'm just going to walk around the round table hold here for a bit and tell you to go check out Lucid Blues ASMR. Lucid Blues ASMR. He is a phenomenal channel, and I think that you would really enjoy what he's up to over there. I certainly do. And I think it would be cool to go show him some love. So he does, he's done some unboxing videos recently, some shaving videos, and some kind of rambles. So if that is interesting to you, I highly recommend you check him out. He's got a phenomenal voice, a great vibe. They're very relaxing videos, and he seems very personable and friendly, so it's a good vibe over there. I will say, alright, some of the people in his comments are kind of weird. Okay, they're kind of horny posting, which, you know, it's a free country, they can do what they want, but please don't go over there on my recommendation and then get all weird in the comments, okay? Be on your best behavior, alright? I don't care if you have a thing for Aussie men with mustaches, right? But just keep it chill, okay? Oh yeah, and by the way, he's Australian, so, you know, if you like people with an Australian accent in your ASMR, I know I do like listening to people, you know, that aren't from my country, listening to their voices. It's, you know, kind of relaxing hearing a different way of speaking, so. Lucid Blues ASMR. I will post a link to his channel in the description. And if you're watching, bro, go ahead and drop a comment, and I will pin it so people can find your channel easily. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this run of Elden Ring Nightreign. Alright, so here we are with our team. I am Bender, and I think the other guy's name was Grim. I didn't get it. And we are flying into the map to begin the run. I am playing the Raider class, which is a heavy weapons sort of class. He has a very high strength score. So, if you want to swing around colossal weapons and giant hammers and stuff like that, he's your guy. So, first thing you want to do in this game is check your map and see what nearby landmarks there are. These points of interest are where you're going to find the best loot. And we landed right next to a Church of America, which is a great opener because you get to add another charge to your Estus flask, which is how you heal yourself. And it also has some good consumable items in the boxes. If you are playing online in this game, not on comms, as in not talking to the other players, in voice chat, you need to make healthy use of the pin system on the map so that you can communicate with each other. Also, I'm examining the map because I'm looking for holy weapons. If you saw on the some of the points of interest, a damage type or status effect is listed, and that means that that point of interest relates to that damage type or status effect. The enemies there will deal that type of damage, but also you can collect weapons and items that deal that kind of damage there. So if you are looking for a specific damage type or a specific status effect that you want to inflict, you should check out those symbols so that you know where to go. We are in a blood-based area right here, and so the enemies are inflicting blood loss. Also, my teammate is down here, as you can see, and you revive your teammates in this game by doing damage to them with your weapons and abilities. Which is kind of a funny thing, but it's actually really cool because it allows, for example, if you have a very powerful attack, it allows that very powerful attack to be also a very effective means of reviving players. And I just used my ultimate ability, which summons a large block of stone from the ground. You can stand on the block of stone, and it also deals damage when it's summoned in. In addition, it raises the attack power of yourself and nearby allies while it is summoned. So, for my reward here, I'm going to choose the improved stamina recovery. Whenever you defeat a boss, you get to choose from a set of 2 to 3 rewards. And what I'm looking for in this game right now is a holy weapon, because the boss that we are facing at the end of this run is weak to holy damage. And so I had the choice of some blood weapons, and they were good weapons, no doubt, but stamina recovery is a very nice feature for my character, because I tend to burn through my stamina very quickly with my powerful attacks. And if I had taken a blood weapon, I probably just would have ended up swapping it out when I found a holy weapon later on. So, now that I have looted this area, I need to catch up with my team. I sort of let them run off, and when I stayed behind to clean up some of those enemies, those big slime monsters have a ton of health, but I found that they can actually drop some nice nice weapons sometimes. And they're really easy to kill. So I'm going to grab this extra flask charge. It's always good to get more charges in your flask whenever you can. And I'm just going to start making my way to my team, catching up with them. It looks like they're fighting a boss, and so I want to help. And they actually just beat it, so I can run in and grab the reward that they worked for. And nothing here is very good, so I'm just gonna grab the Bloodhound Claws because they have a passive effect that gives me increased damage negation on magic damage, I believe it was. And something kind of cool about the weapons in the game is that they have passive effects that apply even if you're not using the weapon. So if you find one weapon that you really like, and you never want to change it, it's still good to find more weapon loot because you might get powerful passive effects that really help your build. So that's something to keep in mind. And we're just going to do a little damage to that enemy. We might circle back around. This blue fire rain stuff coming in is the Nightreign, and it deals damage to you while you're inside. My teammate just went down, but there's no way that we can res him. It's just too dangerous. You take too much damage in the Nightreign. So unfortunately, he's going to take a death. And the penalty there is that his level will decrease by 1, and his runes, which are the way that you level up and buy things from merchants, will all be left over where he died, so he'll want to go back there and collect them at some point. Oh, and you know what? I just realized these claws actually have holy damage on them. So I forget if I use them in this run until the end. I don't think I do, but oh no, I hate this enemy. The Royal Revenant. So I'm going to use my ult for extra damage, and then I'm going to die. But my teammate will revive me. My teammate right there, by the way, is a summoner character. She's actually pretty cool. I've played some of her as well. She has 3 summons that she can, have one of them out at a time. And they are great for drawing aggro. Sometimes they do alright damage, but honestly I think they're just great as tanks. So, this room always has a chest in it, a good chest that drops something nice, so we're gonna run up here and see what we got. And I'm going to take a Crimson Amber Medallion to increase my maximum HP, which is always good for me because I'm going to be in melee a lot, and with the Raider, you kind of want to take damage in a weird way. It's obviously better in general that you don't, but my special ability that I'm using right here becomes more powerful the more damage that you take. And you can tell it's charged up when the character is kind of surrounded by smoke. And it's actually a phenomenal ability. I really like it for a couple reasons. First, you take substantially reduced damage while you're using it. Second, you cannot be broken out of it by taking damage. There are many, attacks and things that you do in this game where if you get hit at the wrong moment, you will get interrupted. By the way, these flame chariots are really easy in this. Because of the climbing mechanic, you can just run up to them, climb onto their back, and then get an insta-kill. So, and you can also get run over, like I was just there. But yeah, the other part of the ability that I really like is, especially when it's charged up, it seems to be much more effective at this, but it is almost guaranteed to stance break an enemy, which means that whatever they're doing, they get interrupted and kind of staggered back for a second. And I'm trying to get my loot, but these guys keep exploding. So I just took an upgrade there that increases the amount of damage I do with affinity attacks on my weapons, which means if I have a weapon that does fire damage, the fire damage will be increased. And because I am looking for holy weapons, and the boss is weak to holy damage, I thought that was a good combination. So there you saw a merchant, and you can buy stuff in this game. You have to find the merchants, and there's a couple places that they spawn, and you'll come to learn them as you play the game. But merchants can often sell very useful items. Sometimes if you're having trouble finding the right type of weapon that you want for the final boss, a merchant will be able to help you. So keep that in mind. They also tend to sell smithing stones, which allow you to upgrade your weapons, and that's very useful. However, you can also acquire smithing stones for free by going into a tunnel. And that's a very good thing to do. If you don't have a fully upgraded weapon, it's good to go into a tunnel and get a purple smithing stone so that you can fully upgrade your weapon. So here I'm running into the Nightreign so that I can get another flask charge, which is very worth it. You can usually handle the Nightreign as long as you're kind of cautious with it, especially if you're running past sites of grace, which are places that heal you. So if you're in the Nightreign, taking a lot of damage, and then you go past a site of grace, it will heal you up and replenish your flasks, and that makes it much easier to get out of the Nightreign safely. So it is very dangerous, but you can kind of manage it if you're cautious and have a proper strategy. Also, I believe that this hammer and war pick I found are the weapons that I'm going to use for the rest of the run. I forget which I use. In the end, I think I use the hammer. So, one thing you have to be aware of with this character, the Raider, is that he is very slow. His attacks, not his running speed, but his attacks, they take a long time to wind up. And if enemies are very agile and quick, you might have trouble catching up to them and successfully hitting way I've found, that's very good for getting around that is to make frequent use of jump attacks, because it allows you to go in quickly and get fast damage. And if you also have a charging attack where when you're sprinting and you hold one of your attack buttons, it just immediately starts attacking, that's a very good thing as well. But you do have to be aware that the raider is slow. So if you play him, you have to try to account for that. And also you can see right here, I'm making some charged attacks, and okay, that actually worked out well, but my weapon is very short range. And so if I take a long time charging up my attack, the enemy can just walk away in any of his normal moves. Yeah, right there. I just missed that whole combo because I was too far away and took a long time charging up my attack. So it's something to be aware of, because I miss attacks with this character more often than I would like to admit. When I first started playing him, and he's the first character that I played pretty much as soon as I started the game, I went right for the Raider, because I used heavy weapons in the base game of Elden Ring. But as I'm getting better with him, part of the reason I'm getting better is because I am learning how to mitigate or work around his slowness. So that's not a super good ability. HP back on successive attacks, because my successive attacks are all very slow, and I don't tend to get a lot of them. But I figured it was better than my other options. My other teammate, by the way, is playing Iron Eye, who is a primarily ranged character. Stands back and uses bows and arrows a lot. He has some pretty good abilities. He has one ability where he marks an enemy, and then if they take enough damage with the mark on them, they suddenly take a big burst of damage. And that's a pretty good one. He also has, his ultimate is just a very powerful bow shot, which, I think pretty much always staggers, enemies. So it's a very useful one. He's also a great character for reviving your teammates, because he can stand safely at a distance and just shoot arrows into a downed character and kind of stay safely away from the fray while still reviving the teammates. And here I decided to take the runes, just because I knew that the final boss doesn't do statuses, so I didn't really need my resistances up. So you can see the importance of kind of working as a team. You don't always have to stay together. There are some times, in my opinion, where it's useful to split up. But especially when you're playing online and you cannot communicate vocally, it is very useful to just stay together and make heavy use of the pin system. Because there are many bosses that, even if a player is really good and could technically beat the boss alone, just because of their skill, bosses have a lot of health in this game, and it's very slow to kill a boss by yourself usually, unless you're, kind of over-leveled for it. And so because of that, it's good to fight bosses with a team because it's just really hard to do the damage necessary by yourself in general. And I'm probably going to stop off at the left here to attack this scarab. So on the map, I saw a little scarab icon over here, and that means that there is a scarab dung beetle thing. And these guys drop talismans, so yep, that one is good. It just reduces non-physical damage types when I take damage, so that's a great talisman. And now we're going to fight good old worm face here. Take him down. I highly, highly recommend when you play this game that you look at what the final boss's weaknesses are, or rather their one weakness. It says in the menu when you choose a boss what their weakness is, and you should learn that, and when you get into a game fighting that boss, you really should try to find weapons, items, and spells that take advantage of that weakness. Because the bosses in this game are, in my opinion, very difficult. There's a couple that are somewhat easy. I think, well, I don't know. I was gonna say I think as you go down the list they get harder, but I don't think that's true because the dragon's at the bottom of the list and I find him one of the easier bosses, but regardless, the bosses are pretty tough. Some of them are really tough, and one of the reasons they're so tough is because they have a lot of health. And if you are not making use of their weakness, it might take you a very long time to kill them. So, learn the weaknesses and exploit them. That is one of my major first tips to you if you are getting started in this game. And we are just going to wipe up this boss real quick, even though the Nightreign is coming. Because it's a weak boss and we figure we can get the reward and get out of here in time. And both of those weapons are less than useless to me, so I'm just gonna leave them behind. I'm pretty much set on my equipment, so primarily what I'm looking for now is, passive buffs, increases to my stamina, to my maximum HP, stuff like that. It's always good to, this game is very fast-paced. You have to really make good use of your time. The circle closes in very quickly, which I don't mean like literally how fast the circle moves. I just mean that you're gonna start a game and you're gonna wander around and explore a little bit, and before you know it, the zone is gonna be shrinking. And that relic, or that talisman restores health on successive attacks. That would have been a good combo with my passive, but I don't have a good weapon for it, so I passed on it. But yeah, one thing, and I'll say this, this game can be kind of overwhelming, I think, at first, because you're dropping in, and there's all these points of interest, and you don't know what they all mean, and and all the enemies are really hard, and, yada yada. There's a lot going on. And not to mention then that you have 2 other online players who know what's going on, and they're just running around doing stuff, and you're like, hey, wait for me, I don't understand. That's okay. It can be a little overwhelming at first, I think, but the solution to that is just to play, and things will start to make sense. You just kind of have to learn by experience. And I'm just pinging a lot here to try to tell my teammates that there's a reward out here. But they're in there, doing stuff, so they're not gonna come out, but... So now I need to find them. And maybe they're going to get the stuff, I don't know. But now I'm gonna try to work through some of these knights. Another thing that you could do, if you're feeling overwhelmed, is play solo for a little bit. If it's too much pressure, sort of playing with other players. Also, I was gonna die right there, but I used my ability at the right moment and negated enough of the damage that it didn't kill me, so it's a very good ability. You can play solo, and don't worry about winning. Just think about exploring the map, checking out points of interest, sort of getting a sense for where things are. If you see a church, like this big cathedral thing I'm going to, you'll come to learn that there's always sacred seals in the basement, for instance. And that forts always have a map in them, which will give you information about the surrounding area. So, that's the kind of stuff that just comes with experience, and playing solo is really hard, by the way. The game is not balanced for solo play. It's definitely possible, it's totally doable, but it's really difficult. So, you shouldn't expect to necessarily win unless you're very good at the game. But if you play solo, you can just explore in a low-pressure environment where you're not going to have other teammates getting annoyed with you if you're not, playing optimally or whatever. Also, to be frank, even if you really mess up in a multiplayer match, this game is weirdly forgiving. I've had starts to games where I feel like I'm playing so terribly, or not feel like, I am playing so terribly, and I almost feel like, the run is over, I'm just gonna be dead weight the whole time. But it's not really true, because all of the runes that your teammates are collecting, you get them as well. And so even if you're not doing well, your teammates are going to be getting you runes to help make you stronger. And even if you're too weak to beat a certain boss, if your teammates are stronger and they kill it, you can get the reward from the boss even though you didn't fight it, or even though you didn't do very much damage. And then boom, if you get a really good reward, suddenly, you're in business. The one sort of more punishing aspect of the game is that every time you die, you lose a level. And that can be kind of tough if you fall into a bit of a death spiral. But I don't think in practice that really happens very much once you kind of get your feet under you, so... it is a hard game, it's a Fromsoft style of game, so it's quite difficult, but you can totally, in a weird way, it's it's not super punishing. So, now we are at the second night fight. At the end of the second day, you have a difficult boss encounter, and then you enter the arena for the final boss. So, the circle closes in around you and forces you towards the boss fight arena. And as I said, a while ago, I kind of got my weapons figured out. And so, I'm still just using the holy hammer that I've had for a while. But it's always good to explore, because every reward has the potential to be useful. And so here we're fighting a couple of omens. And these boss fights, these nighttime boss fights, they start with a sort of a mini encounter of some regular enemies. And then the boss comes in after, so here we are facing the Fell Omen, or Margit, as you know him in the game. And, of course, if you've played Elden Ring, you know this character quite well. He's one of the earliest bosses you encounter, and he's a great test of skill. He's quite difficult for new players. Yeah, the other thing with difficulty in this is that playing with 3 players is a huge advantage against enemy AI. They are not necessarily built to fight off 3 players at once. And so that doesn't mean they're gonna be easy necessarily, but it means that, like what's happening right now, I don't even really have to worry about dodging him very much, because he's targeting my ally. And so I have a lot of room to just get in a bunch of damage. But then sometimes the shoe's on the other foot, and the enemy is targeting me, and so I might not be doing very much damage. I'm instead just focusing on dodging and avoiding damage, and I'm letting my team get in the hits. So there's kind of a fun give and take sometimes there. But I will say the new enemies that they've designed, the brand new bosses, they are very good at fighting 3 players at once. You're not going to be bullying them in the same way that you might bully old Fromsoft bosses. These final bosses have a lot of area of effect attacks. And they have very wide sweeping attacks, stuff like that. Or they will summon a horde of allies, and just generally, give you a hard time, even if you're a group. So in this final area, you can buy some stuff from the merchant, you can level up, you can upgrade your weapons if you have the necessary items. And now we enter the boss arena. So, I'm going to use my team buff there. And then I think I'm going to buff my weapon, yep. And here is Gladius, Beast of Night. So, this boss, as you can see, is a big Cerberus type of creature. Okay, my footage just glitched out, so I'm gonna cut that out and hopefully sync the video up properly again. but I might be saying things slightly out of sync with what's happening on screen. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we're fighting this Cerberus thing, this three-headed dog. And he deals fire damage and is weak to holy damage. So, you should definitely bring holy damage to this fight. And then he can also switch into 3 independent dogs, which I think is very cool. And I'm going to use my ultimate ability, which makes us all deal more damage. And we're kind of walloping this boss right now. And I sort of misused my special there. A bit of a waste of it, but it's alright. Now I'm getting smacked around a little bit. But yeah, this might make the boss look pretty easy. And this is the easiest boss in the game. But I will tell you, if it's your first time playing especially, you're probably going to have more difficulty than this. If you have a good team, you definitely have a chance at beating it your first try, no doubt. But, it can also be, that's part of the game, right? I mean, your team composition matters so much. You are only 33% of the equation. And so, if your team is horrible, it'll be very difficult for you to make up that difference. And if your team is amazing, they can help you, even if you're not playing your best. But there we go, that is our victory against Gladius, the Beast of Night. And this is kind of a fun screen. It shows you the path that you walked on the map, so let's just trace that. We came in here, we went to the Church of America, we went to those blood ruins, got another Church of America, fought that mini-boss, passed up here through those ruins, came outside of this castle here, crossed through the castle, went to the fire ruins, the holy ruins, or the holy camp, fought a boss, and went through the fort, circled up around here. I think that's where we got a scarab. Did another fort. Came back down. I was just wondering what that clasping hand symbol meant. Maybe that's a revive. I don't know. Come up here, and then we fought the omens and the fell omens. So that was our course for the game, which is kind of cool to see that laid out. And you can see your team here. I am Bender 0811 and Grim. Thank you both for a great game. So now you get some relics, and these are items that you can equip on your characters, and it gives you buffs. And sometimes these buffs can actually be quite significant. So finding good relics is a very powerful way of getting stronger. And I think, what am I up to here? I'm going to my relics. Oh yeah, just gonna show you my relics, I guess. Art gauge fills up moderately upon critical hit, physical attack up. Those are some of my buffs that I have. That critical hit one does very little. My flask also heals allies. +3 strength. That's good because I'm the strength character, so that's just more damage, you know? And then my last relic is the Torn Braided Cord. Damage taken while using character skill improves attack power and stamina, and another +3 strength. So the character skill is that thing I showed you, where I take reduced damage and can't be staggered. So it's, I love that synergy where when I'm taking damage with it, you know, it makes me stronger afterwards. And then I'm going to sell a bunch of these. So yeah, you're gonna accrue a lot of this junk, and most of it's not gonna be very good, because they're randomly generated, and so, you know, you're gonna be waiting a while before you get some really good ones. Most likely, unless you get lucky. But yeah, I'm just selling these. You can buy them from the merchant in the Round Table Hold, which I think I do after this. But anyway, while I'm just running around doing this busy work, yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that game we just watched. So, the Raider is a very fun character to me. I like his abilities. I like that he has an AoE ultimate that sort of deforms the terrain. What I like to do with it is use it and then do a jumping attack off of it onto an enemy that I knocked down by summoning it in the first place. You do have to be careful with it though, because you can and will block enemies from your allies, which can be annoying to your allies if they have to, if they can't hit the enemy anymore. You can also block passages. For instance, my brother is playing this game, and he told me that the other night he was playing with a raider, and they were fighting a boss, and it wasn't going well, and so they ran out of the boss's room that had one exit, and the raider summoned his block right in the doorway, which trapped one of their teammates in the room with the boss. And then the player died because they couldn't get out, and nobody could revive them because the door was blocked. So, you know, don't do that. That is bad form as a raider. Yeah, the only other character I've played is the Revenant. Well, I played Wilder in the tutorial. He's a mandatory tutorial character. He seems fun. I would like to play him at some point, but so far I've only gotten around to the Raider and the Revenant. And I actually quite like the Revenant, as I said before, which is funny because I didn't do any summons in the base game Elden Ring. I never really got into summoning. But for some reason in this, I think she's fun. One recommendation I have for her, if you're playing as the Revenant, is don't swap out your starting weapon unless you find a really good faith-based weapon, like the, the Cipher Blade or something. Like, there's like one or two other weapons that have S scaling in faith, but they're very rare. And so unless you find one of those, you should just stick with your starting weapon, and then you must make it a priority to find a blue smithing stone and a purple smithing stone, and then upgrade your starting weapon to purple. Then they're great. The other part of that is equip her with a relic that gives your starting weapon a bonus, either applying bleed or poison or frostbite or something like that. Make those starting weapons for her as good as possible, because so many other weapons, you're like never gonna find a weapon that's as good as those are for her. Now, because of her high faith, she's also a good spellcaster, so you're gonna be wanting to find sacred seals to cast some spells, but to be honest, the thing with spells that I found is that sometimes I'll find very good spells, and then I will be using the spellcasting a lot as her. But pretty often, I have found spells that are either kind of junky or very situationally useful, and I end up playing the whole match, casting very few spells, but my starting weapons are good enough, combined with my summons, that it's okay. Right now, my build for her is actually pretty dope. I have her equipped with poison on her starting weapons, and then I have other relics which increase my attack power whenever poison procs in the vicinity. So whenever I apply poison to an enemy, I get stronger. And on top of that, I have another ability which makes me deal more damage to poisoned enemies. So my starting weapon deals poison. When I poison them, I get stronger, and when I attack them while they are poisoned, I'm even stronger. So it's a great build. I really enjoy it. But yeah, I'm loving Nightreign. I had some struggles with it initially. In my first couple of matches, I was actually a little bit negative on it, and some of those critiques do remain, but I have come around to a much more positive opinion, and I am having a lot of fun with it. I'll talk about all of that more in my review video, which I'll probably make. I mean, I guess no promises, but I think I would like to make a review video. Talk about what I see as positive, what I see as negative. But yeah, that's I guess that's Nightreign. I would like to make a lore video for sure. I want to do more lore videos for Elden Ring as well. I just did that Raya Lucaria video, for instance, and I love doing those Elden Ring lore videos. I find them very satisfying to make. I'm really proud of how they come out, and they're some of my favorite videos. The problem is, they take a ton of work. Like, a ton of work. And part of it is because I don't, put it, if I mainlined the work to get them ready, they would go a lot faster, but, doing all the research on the item descriptions and environmental clues and stuff like that, it just takes a long, long time. That Raya Lucaria video took me a couple months, and now granted, again, as I said, I wasn't working every day on that. It was just when I found time, I would work on the script, do more research on the items. Because the other thing is, I don't just watch lore videos and then kind of recapitulate what they're saying. I don't watch really any lore Fromsoft YouTubers, except for Zully the Witch. And I really like Zully the Witch because she, I don't know if the channel owner is a man or a woman, but, whoever they are, they show me things that I can't see myself because they are kind of in the code of the game, doing all sorts of experiments and, examining models and stuff like that, which I find very useful because I can't do that myself. So Zully the Witch is really the only lore channel I watch. I don't watch, Vati or Smowtown, not because I don't respect them or like them per se, because I do respect them and I think they're awesome for the community to have these big, lore, people. But I just like to, what's fun for me is examining the lore myself and coming to my own conclusions. I don't like to be told what the lore means, and which, I know that they're just offering their own interpretations and stuff, and showing like hidden information, whatever, and again, that's actually awesome. It's just not content that I enjoy myself because I like to. It takes away the fun of discovery for me, I like to do that stuff myself. That's what I find so compelling about FromSoft's world building and lore. So anyway, that was a tangent. And another channel I watch sometimes is Ratatosker. He sometimes does lore things, and the reason that I like his videos from memory is because they aren't really saying like, here's the hidden lore that you missed in Elden Ring or whatever. He's more like analyzing the storytelling and doing character analysis and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different from like, hey, I read 100 item descriptions and let me tell you what they all mean. But yeah, that was a tangent on a tangent. Holy cow. So yeah, that's all to say that when I make an Elden Ring lore deep dive video, I have to kind of start from the ground level. I have to read all the items. I have to put it all together in my mind. I have to wander through the map and examine the areas and like try to, think through stuff and come to my own conclusions. So it's a lot of work, not to mention the actual video recording and I want to get photos of all the item descriptions, but I don't necessarily have all the items, so I have to farm items from enemies, and then I have to record the footage, and I'm a really slow video editor, and it takes a lot of editing to make those videos, so, not that any of that is a complaint. I love doing it, it's a lot of fun, and I would love to spend my time doing that more, if it were possible. But I'm just explaining why it takes a while for me to make one of those videos. But I would like to do more of them, and I'm definitely going to do a Nightreign lore video. Probably something like the lore of the Nightfarers, which are the playable characters. They each have their own little quest line, and so currently I'm trying to do all of the quest lines for the characters. I've actually beaten the Raiders quest line, which was pretty cool, and you get a new costume when you do, and I gotta say, holy cow, they really cooked with the Raiders alternate outfits. They are amazing. But yeah, I want to do a lore video once I complete all of the remembrances. I will read the journal entries that it unlocks and explain the story of each Nightfarer to you. And I think that would be a lot of fun because they're cool characters, and I'm enjoying sort of piecing together their stories. So anyway, yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this look into Elden Ring Nightreign. If the game interests you, who knows, maybe I'll see you on the battlefield. We'll drop in together. If you see somebody named Snow, that's probably me. Who knows, it might not be. I think people can have the same name in this game, so. But yeah, if you're still here, just a reminder to check out Lucid Blues ASMR. Definitely go to that channel, check him out, he's phenomenal. And I don't know what video I'm gonna do next, so whatever it is, I will see you next time. And until then, my friends, please take care of yourselves, and I will do the same.